you can always sprinkle a little bit more milk or water on top of the dough and work that in, and that will solve your problem. So I'm going to cut these with a knife today, so I'll have rough shaped squares. And the reason I like to do that is then I don't have any little bits left over, which happens with a circle cutter. You've got all your gaps, which you can re-roll, but this knife version is just easier. So you can see the studding of pickles looks so, so good. So here's my knife. So quick. I'm making them fairly small so that I have a lot of biscuits. And because there's still a little bit of flour on here, I'm going to transfer them to a clean baking sheet. I've crumpled the paper a little, as I like to do, so it will sit down in the pan. You want to space them about 1/2 inch to 1 inch, so just over 1 centimeter to 2.5 centimeters apart, so they have room to expand. These are really great with soup or even just as something to enjoy with cheese, although they already have cheese in them. We like them with chili, great even with charcuterie, really flexible, lots of options. And the other thing I like is that they cook really fast. They only take about 8 or 9 minutes. All right, I'm going to put this pan in the oven and I'll bring them back to you as soon as they are cooked. All right, I've taken our dill pickle and cheddar biscuits out of the oven, and don't they look fantastic? I love how much they puff up. I really like to serve them hot, hot, hot. So I like to get them into the tray and onto the table as quickly as I can. This is a really flexible recipe. I talked about some other add-ins, chopped pickled. And of course, when I'm doing this, when no one's looking, I load up the tray, but there's
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to call the meeting to order now. We'll get started. And as we begin our meeting today, and on behalf of Ottawa City Council, I wish to acknowledge that Ottawa is built on the unceded territory of the Anishinaabe-Algonquin Nation. The peoples of the Anishinaabe-Algonquin Nation have lived on this territory for millennia. Their culture and presence have nurtured and continue to nurture this land. The City of Ottawa honors the peoples and land of the Anishinaabe-Algonquin Nation and honors all First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples and their valuable past and present contributions to this land. For those who are able, please rise for a moment of personal reflection. Thank you, merci beaucoup. Please remain standing if you're able to, and I will ask Councillor Johnson to introduce the performers of our national anthem this morning.
Good morning. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. So I am pleased to have the Hammond Suzuki Studio Violin Ensemble with us to play the national anthem on violin. The Hammond Suzuki Studio is led by Debbie Hammond, and the studio embraces the philosophy that every child possesses an unlimited talent, and developing that sprout to a wonderful ability depends on how it is cultivated. I'm happy to have this youth ensemble join us here to showcase their talents. The studio was established in 2014 in the Bells Corners area of Ottawa. These students are all 8 to 16 years old, but some have started as young as 3. Yeah, and so they have classes for babies and toddlers too. We've engaged in a little conversation as to whether my children would be able to pull something like that off. Jury's out. These students have volunteered their time and talents to participate in concerts supporting Ukraine humanitarian relief and FAMSAC.
Thank you so much. That was beautifully performed. Merci beaucoup. I will now ask the council coordinator to do the roll call, please.
Councillor Luloff.
Okay, we're doing the roll call, everyone. Councillor Luloff. Councillor Luloff, are you present?
Apparently so.
Councillor Dudas.
Present.
Councillor Hill.
Present.
Councillor Curry.
Here.
Councillor Kelly.
Present.
Councillor Gower,
Here.
Councillor Kavanaugh,
Present.
Councillor Johnson,
Here.
Councillor Devine,
Here.
Councillor Bradley,
Here.
Councillor Tierney,
Present.
Councillor Plante,
Ici.
Councillor King,
Here.
Councillor Troster,
Here.
Councillor Leeper,
Here.
Councillor Brockington,
Here.
Councillor Menard,
Here.
Councillor Carr,
Here.
Councillor Kitts,
Here.
Councillor Giroux, Councillor Brown,
Here.
Councillor DeRush,
Here.
Councillor Hubley, Councillor Lowe,
Present.
Councillor DeRuz is here. Yep.
Mayor Sutcliffe.
Here.
You have a quorum, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. Confirmation of minutes from the council meeting of May 15th. Are the minutes carried?
Carried.
Are there any declarations of interest? Note the other communications received on the agenda. There were no regrets that were filed. Motion to introduce reports. Councillor Brockington.
Thank you, Mayor. That the Built Heritage Committee Report 14A, Emergency Preparedness and Protective Services Committee Report 11, Environment and Climate Change Report 11, Planning and Housing Committee Report 28, Transportation Committee Report 12, and the report from the City Clerk entitled Summary of Oral and Written Public Submissions for Items Subject to the Planning Act, Explanation Requirements, at the City Council meeting of May 15th, 2024, be received and considered.
Is that carried? Item 10.1 is the application for demolition at 267 O'Connor Street. Is that carried? Item 11.1 is Bylaw and Regulatory Services 2023 Annual Report. Is that received?
Received.
Item 11.2 is the new Ottawa Fire Services Establishing Bylaw. Is that carried?
Carried. Carried.
Item 12.1, Multi-Residential Waste Diversion Strategy Update. Does anyone want that held, or is that carried? Item 12.2 is the Curbside Waste Diversion Policy Implementation Plan and Operational Readiness Update. Is that carried?
Carried.
Item 12.3 is the update on the electrification of Public Works small equipment. Is that carried?
Carried.
Item 13.1 is the 2024 O-Train Proximity Study Guidelines Update. Is that carried?
Carried.
Item 14.1 from Transportation Committee is the minor amendments to right-of-way bylaws. Is that carried? Item 14.2, cycling facilities on the Maitland Avenue Bridge over Highway 417. Is that carried? Item 14.3 is a motion from Councillor Gower on Somerset Square temporary encroachment fee allocation for public realm improvements. Is that carried? What's that? Oh, sorry, it's an amending motion, right? Yeah. Councillor Leeper, you're actually doing a motion to amend the original motion. Is that correct?
I think it's in addition to.
Okay, in addition to. Okay.
Just trying to find the right one. Is it short?
You got it?
Okay, this is short. Whereas the motion was carried at Transportation Committee on May 23rd, 2024, and whereas the motion included that subsequent council approval will be required to confirm the redirection of the Section 37 funds, and whereas in accordance with the minutes of settlement signed on October the 20th, 2022, in respect of OPA 264 and zoning bylaw 2021-341 for 26, 36, and 40 Armstrong, and 961, 967, 969, 973, 979 Wellington Street West, City staff agreed to recommend that the $250,000 being provided by the developer and funds pursuant to the former Planning Act, Section 37, be redirected toward the improvement of Somerset Square through a Section 37 agreement, and whereas council approval is required to confirm the redirection of the Section 37 funds, therefore be it resolved the council approve the redirection of the funds from the Section 37 agreement in the amount of $250K into the deferred revenue account, along with the estimated $550,000 in temporary encroachment fees to fund the design and implementation of enhanced public realm improvements.
Okay, thank you. Is that carried? And then the original item as amended, is that carried? Okay, and the bulk consent agenda, is that carried? All right, motion to adopt reports. Councillor Brockington.
That the Built Heritage Committee Report 14A, Emergency Preparedness and Protective Services Committee Report 11, Environment and Climate Change Committee Report 11, Planning and Housing Committee Report 28, Transportation Committee Report 12, and the report from the City Clerk entitled Summary of Oral and Written Public Submissions for Items Subject to the Planning Act, Explanation Requirements, at the City Council meeting of May 15th, 2024, be received and adopted as amended.
Is that carried? Postponements and deferrals. Item 17.1 is the hydro wire burying on Bank Street, and I understand that there's a new motion to replace the original motion. So I from a technical point of view, I gather, Councillor Menard, you're withdrawing the original motion and introducing a new motion. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Did you want to introduce that now?
Thanks, Mayor. Yeah, and thanks for staff for working with us and Councillor Carr, Councillor Brockington in this vicinity. Whereas the undergrounding of hydro poles continue to be an ongoing discussion for many corridors in the city, and whereas full-scale renewal projects provide an opportunity for the city to improve the public realm, unlock barriers for well-designed and intensified development on the main streets of our design priority areas, and undertake climate change adaptation for our infrastructure. And whereas Ottawa has been seeing more windstorms and power outages, which can require repairs to its electrical grid, and whereas Hydro Ottawa has completed their asset management plans that identify areas where resiliency or grid capacity projects may be required, and opportunities for implementation through city integrated projects should be considered and coordinated, whereas the city is continuing to work on a revised hydro burial policy that considers hydro grid resiliency, design priority areas, development potential, transportation safety, and modal share with an affordability lens based on outcomes of the asset management plans and long-term sustainability in mind. Therefore, be it resolved that Council requests staff consider Hydro Ottawa's resiliency and system capacity planning objectives in determining whether to include full or partial burial in future integrated projects planned and design priority areas as set out in the official plan. Therefore, be further resolved that Council directs staff to give due consideration to affordability determined through approval of the asset management plans and long-range financial plans in the future update of the city's hydro burial policy. Mayor, just very briefly, Hydro Ottawa has been really helpful in having these discussions. They have their own list that's going to be released soon of areas that they want to see made more resilient as a result of the derecho that occurred in our city and the windstorms that we've been seeing. So this is coordinating our staff's work with Hydro's work, and appreciate the input from Hydro Ottawa and staff on the future policy that'll be coming forward soon. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Menard. Is the motion carried? Motions of which notice has previously been given. 18.1 is National Health and Fitness Day. Councillor Plante? Did you want to speak to it?
Yeah, are they pulling the motion up?
Yeah.
Merci. Whereas the participant rates of Canadians engaging in healthy physical activities has declined, while inactivity and obesity continues to rise in Canada, and whereas health and fitness ought to be promoted and embraced by Canadians of all ages and abilities, and whereas many Canadian cities have taken up the annual challenge of encouraging and promoting physical activity, including Calgary, Saskatoon, Montreal, and Victoria, and whereas the City of Ottawa offers a multitude of recreation and leisure programming and promotes active and healthy living through a number of initiatives, and whereas the City of Ottawa has previously offered incentives to residents to embrace physical activity and fitness in recognition of past National Health and Fitness Days, and whereas Ottawa Public Health has indicated that staying active is a positive coping strategy for taking care of your mental health, and where City of Ottawa departments, public health, recreation, culture facilities, service departments, and others work together on improving access and encouraging physical activity for residents, and whereas the City of Ottawa encourages residents to get outside and enjoy outdoor amenities such as parks, hiking, bike trails, courts, and skateboard parks, and whereas the City of Ottawa has a play-free initiative offering a selection of free drop-in programming for children and youth, and whereas the City of Ottawa wishes to encourage all residents to embrace physical activity and fitness by participating in free play, as well as free virtual Zumba classes on Saturday, June 1st, 2024, in recognition of 2024 National Health and Fitness Day. Therefore, be it resolved that the City of Council declares Saturday, June 1st, 2024, National Health and Fitness Day in Ottawa. Merci beaucoup.
Merci. Is that carried? 18.2 is commemoration of the 100th anniversary of the Royal Canadian Air Force. Councillor Desroches?
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. I think we got some time. I'll speak to it. As you know, the Royal Canadian Air Force was established 100 years ago to protect and preserve the freedoms of all Canadians, to contribute to global peace and security, and to help those in need in Canada and abroad. Canada's Air Force has a long and distinguished history with many proud traditions that merit recognition by all Canadians, and especially the nation's capital. Generations of Canada's Air Force have served with distinction over the past century, and it's important that we honor the rich history formed by those who served and the many who made the ultimate sacrifice for our country. As we commemorate 100 years of the RCAF, we are reminded of the bravery and sacrifices of the over 245,000 men and women who served in the RCAF during World War II. Their participation in missions, ranging from bombing raids and fighter engagement to reconnaissance and transport flights, played a vital role in the Allied victory. In recent history, the RCAF has been called upon to serve in challenging environments on numerous international operations. Members have responded with professionalism and courage on operations in Afghanistan, Libya, Iraq, Romania, as well as peacekeeping missions in Africa and the Middle East. The RCAF currently provides air defense, maritime patrol, search and rescue, air mobility and sustainment, aerospace patrol, and space capabilities to support operations at home and abroad. Canada's Air Force is a respected military partner worldwide, providing security at home through NORAD and working with our NATO allies and partners to maintain peace and security across the globe. And I want to pay special tribute, Mr. Mayor, to all the personnel of Canadian Forces Station Leitrim in the Findlay Creek area, who play a tremendous role in our Canadian Armed Forces. I also wish to thank our City Archivist, Paul Henry, for his support and research. The proposed centennial display will highlight key moments in Ottawa's relationship with the RCAF over the past 100 years, focusing on how it supported development in military aviation. Ottawa's connections included the peacetime activity of the aerial photographic survey work, with initial testing and troubleshooting being conducted at Rockcliffe in the 1920s. As the hub for survey work, the Library of Aerial Photos would be established in Ottawa, and this survey work would continue out of Rockcliffe in the pre and post Second World War era. In support of the British Commonwealth Air Training Plan agreement signed in 1939, the RCAF needed to expand, and that included important operations at CFB Rockcliffe and in the south of the city where the Ottawa Airport is now located. And at the height of that plan nationwide, over 131,000 pilots were trained in Canada, of which 72,000 were Canadians. And as part of that war effort during the Second World War, local manufacturers such as the Ottawa Car Company helped build parts for bombers, such as the Avro Anson and the Lancaster bombers here in Ottawa. And so just in closing, Mr. Mayor, the story of the Royal Canadian Air Force is one of courage and sacrifice that has shaped our nation's military history and heritage across this country and here locally in the city of Ottawa. And today we commemorate the centennial, we honor the veterans, and we recognize our Air Force personnel whose dedication and professionalism keeps us safe every day. So thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, and thank you to colleagues for supporting some initiatives that I think will help honor the anniversary over the course of this year. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Desroches. Is that carried? Item 18.3, city permit fees for demountable stages applicable to not-for-profit fundraisers. Councillor Tierney.
Just be a second, Mr. Mayor.
Would you like a copy of it?
Great. I think I'll just go to the therefore it be resolved, if that's okay. I did read it last week. This is just because of some of the new building code rules that have been applied through the province of Ontario that we're still decoding at this point, which creates a lot of challenges for whether you see the big barbecue rib contests or if it's a local fair where you see a stage. You know, suddenly building permits are required for these stages, which is going to put a very big and undue bill towards those local community fairs, requiring engineers and stamps, and it could cost $2,000 in addition to be able to run your community event. So at a minimum, at this point, until we could figure out what is going on here and why we're being punished as local community fairs, therefore be resolved that the City Council delegate the authority to the Chief Building Officer to waive the building permit application fees established by the City's Building Bylaw 2014-220 as amended for non-profit permit applications who apply for a demonstrable stage permit as required by the Building Code Regulations 30/23 for their fundraising events. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Tierney. Is that carried? 18.4 is the Bytown Fire Brigade. Councillor Hubley.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. So the motion is to help the Bytown Fire Brigade to have staff to work with them. And so I'll read it out. It's whereas the Bytown Fire Brigade is a nonprofit Ottawa-based organization established in 1983 to serve the community as a local historical society with a mission to collect, preserve, conserve, restore, and display the artifacts and apparatus that tell the history of the firefighting in Canada's capital and the country as a whole. And whereas the Bytown Fire Brigade has expressed an interest in strengthening its relationship with the City of Ottawa for the purposes of building capacity and expanding its community reach. And whereas the City of Ottawa operates several cultural programs, including city-owned museums and historic sites, along with the various forms of cultural funding through museum services agreements, heritage services agreements, and the Heritage Funding Program, including project funding, annual operating funding, multi-year operating funding, and whereas the City Archives maintains its own partnership and agreements and other relationships, including those with the Friends of the City of Ottawa Archives, historic societies, religious organizations, and individual volunteers, whereas the City Archives, as part of its mandate, acquires and makes available city and community records, including those of first responders, such as the Ottawa Fire Services. Therefore, be it resolved that the City Clerk and General Manager, Recreational, Cultural, and Facility Services be directed to engage with the Bytown Fire Brigade to explore various options for strengthening the city relationship with the Bytown Fire Brigade and to identify ways that the city may assist them in building capacity and reach for their community work. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Hubley. Is that carried? Motions requiring suspension of the rules of procedure. Councillor Leeper has a motion regarding, it's a technical motion really about development charges, the bylaw. So on suspension of the rules, is that carried? Councillor Leeper.
Thank you, Mayor. So this is coming out of the development charges process. My understanding is a very technical motion, whereas it is desirable that the applicable date for the transitional rates for development charges under bylaw 2024-218 schedules B and C be clarified before such transitional rates would come into effect. Therefore, be it resolved that the rule, I've already done that. Whereas it was intended through the Planning and Housing Committee Motion 2024-2701, adopted through Council Item 14-1, adopted on May 15, 2024, that the transitional rate for Schedules B and C be the development charges rate in effect on the day prior to the enactment of the new bylaw. And whereas Planning and Housing Motion 2024-2701 inadvertently stated the date of May 21st, 2024, when the correct date to be utilized was May 14th, 2024. And whereas, although the enacted bylaw sub 12.4 did state the correct date of May 14th, 2024, such was not in PHC Motion 2024-2701. The drama builds on this. I like that. And it is desirable to expressly provide council authority for such date. Therefore, be it resolved that a bylaw be added to the agenda of the May 29, 2024 meeting of council to provide that bylaw 2024-218 sub 12.4 be repealed and reenacted such that it will continue to read in accordance with the following. 12.4 for the period for 7 calendar days after the repeal of the Development Charges Act sub 5.6 paragraph 4 to and including August 16th, 2024 in respect of any applicant for a building permit to which the Development Charges Act sub 2621C applies, the applicable development charges will be calculated according to the development charge rates in effect on May 14th, 2024. Therefore, be it further resolved that pursuant to the Development Charges Act sub 12.3, it is determined that no further public notice is necessary. If anyone has any questions, Mr. Mark, I'm sure, can speak to it.
Yes. Is that carried? Thank you. Councillor Luloff has a motion regarding the Orleans Craft Beer Festival, which seems right on brand. And
Spicy.
on suspension of the rules, is that carried? Councillor Luloff?
I wasn't going to read the motion, but now I am. Whereas the Orleans Craft Beer Festival is an outdoor festival promoting traditional, exotic, and different worlds of beer, wine, spirits, and street foods, featuring multiple food vendors, breweries, and live entertainment. And whereas the Orleans Craft Beer Festival is to occur on Friday, June 7th, 2024, through Sunday, June 9th, 2024. Mark it in your calendars. It is a great time, ladies and gentlemen. Whereas Centrum Boulevard from Breezebois Crescent to Prestone Drive is required to be closed to accommodate the festival and on-street festival setup. And whereas the on-street festival setup will commence at 7 a.m. on Friday, June 7th, 2024, and the festival will begin operation at 5 p.m. on Friday, June 7th, 2024. And whereas the on-street festival takedown will commence at 8 a.m. on Sunday, June 19th, 2024, and continue until 11 p.m. on Sunday, June 9th, 2024. And whereas the City of Ottawa's special events on City Streets Bylaw 2001-260 prohibits road closures before 6 p.m. Monday to Friday. Therefore, be it resolved that Council approve the road closure for Centrum Boulevard from Breezebois Crescent to Prestone Drive from 7 a.m. on Friday, June 7th, 2024 to 11 p.m. on Sunday, June 9th, 2024 for the Orleans Craft Beer Festival, providing it meets the requirements, conditions, and approval of Special Events Advisory Team, that is the SEAT group. This is the official kickoff of summer, the Orleans Craft Brew Festival. It is a great deal of fun. Come out, see some friends that you haven't seen in a long time, enjoy some great food and beverages, and everybody should come out. It's amazing. The great music and bands. The mayor came last year and really enjoyed himself, so you should come too. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Luloff. Is that carried? Councillor Troster has a motion regarding the Chinatown Night Market on suspension of the rules. Is that carried? Carried. Councillor Troster.
Thank you. Whereas Chinese Cuisine and Hospitality Association of Canada will host the annual Chinatown Night Market event, and whereas many of the Ottawa Chinatown Night Market activities will be happening outdoors on Somerset Street between Bronson Avenue and Bell Street North. Activities consist of an outdoor food festival to bring fun to the community with food tastings and cultural musical performances. And whereas the Ottawa Chinatown Night Market is to occur on Friday, May 31st, 2024 through Sunday, June 2nd, 2024, and whereas Somerset Street from Bronson Avenue to Bell Street North is required to be closed to accommodate the festival and on-street festival setup. And whereas the on-street festival setup will commence at 8 p.m. on Thursday, May 30th, 2024, and the festival will begin operation at 2 p.m. on Friday, May 31st, 2024. And whereas the on-street festival takedown will commence at 8 p.m. on Sunday, June 2nd, 2024, and continue until 11 p.m. on Sunday, June 2nd, 2024. And whereas the City of Ottawa's special events on City Streets Bylaw prohibits road closures before 6 p.m. Monday to Friday, therefore be resolved that Council approve the road closure for Somerset Street from Bronson Avenue to Bell Street North from 8 p.m. on Thursday, May 30th, 2024 to 11 p.m. on Sunday, June 2nd, 2024 for the Ottawa Chinatown Night Market, providing it meets requirements, conditions, and approval of the Special Events Advisory Team. And you really need to come. It's very fun. Best dumplings, and you gotta stand in line for squid on a stick. It's really worth it for those who eat fish.
And more specifically, squid.
Squid on a stick, specifically. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Troster. Councillor Brockington.
Thanks, Mayor. Just a quick question. First,
is it carried?
I do agree with the mover that
He's asking a question.
That it's a great festival to attend across the city, great festivals. But my question is, both this motion and the motion that we'll debate in a second from Councillor Leeper about the Vegans Who Snack event in Parkdale, both have road closures happening in 2 days. And so my question for the local councillors is, can you confirm for council that the community is aware that the road closures will be happening as early as 2 days from now? And on the Somerset matter, is OC Transpo aware that this road was intending to be closed, and you're just aware and can implement that change?
Well, from the local councillor's perspective, yes. It's quite well known in Chinatown, and the Business Improvement Association has done a really good job of informing folks that this festival is happening. It's an annual event.
And my understanding is OC Transpo is advised through the special events team, right?
Mr. Mayor, we'll work with traffic and we'll make it.
Okay, so they can implement 2 days from now, major festival. Thank you.
Thank you. Is the motion carried? Councillor Leeper has a motion on Parkdale Night Market on suspension of the rules. Is that carried? Yeah. Councillor Leeper.
Thanks. So same motion. I just want to make sure, because I've got two of these. The Parkdale night markets are starting back up again, starting on June 5th. I've got the same motion as the previous. Therefore, be it resolved, the council approve the road closure for Armstrong Street from Hamilton North to Parkdale Avenue, and Hamilton Avenue North from Armstrong Street to 22 Hamilton Avenue North from 3 o'clock to 10 p.m. every Wednesday, beginning Wednesday, June 5th, 2024, through to Wednesday, October 9th, 2024, for the Parkdale night market, providing it meets the requirements, conditions, and approval of Special Events Advisory Team.
Is that, Councillor Luloff?
You know, a 2 days notice is a heck of a lot better than we get from Stage 2 LRT sometimes, so thank you very much for this.
Burn.
Okay, Councillor Leeper, anything else?
Thanks. Second motion is with respect to...
Sorry, we have to carry this one first. Is that carried? Carried? Thank you. Okay.
Thank you,
Councillor
colleagues.
Leeper,
I appreciate
vegans who snack on suspension of the rules, is that carried? Go ahead.
Yeah, same motion. Vegans Who Snack is coming up. That's a wild event. If you have a chance to come on by at Parkdale Market, it's extremely popular. Therefore, be it resolved, the council approve the road closure for Armstrong from Hamilton North to Parkdale and Hamilton North from Spencer to Wellington Street West from 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. on Friday, May 31st, 2024. So that's this Friday for the Vegans Who Snack event, providing it meets the requirements, conditions, and approval of Special Events Advisory Team.
Is that carried? Thank you. Notice is a motion for consideration at subsequent meeting. Councillor Troster.
Thank you, Mayor. This is for another street party. This is the partial closure of Cooper Street for the Centertown Community Health Center's 55th anniversary street party. Whereas the Centertown Community Health Center will host the Centertown Community Health Center's 55th anniversary street party event, and whereas the Centertown Community Health Center's 55th anniversary street party offers a food truck, games, and activities for kids and seating to chat, whereas the Centertown Community Health Center's 55th anniversary street party is to occur Tuesday, June 25th, 2024, whereas Cooper Street between Kent Street and Bank Street is required to be closed to accommodate the event and setup, and whereas the on-street event setup will commence at 1 p.m. on Tuesday, June 25th, 2024, the event will begin operation at 2 p.m. on the same day. And whereas the event takedown will commence at 6:30 p.m. Tuesday, June 25th, 2024, whereas the City of Ottawa's special events on city streets bylaw prohibits road closures before 6 p.m. Monday to Friday, therefore be resolved the council approve the road closure for Cooper Street between Kent Street and Bank between 2 and 6:30 p.m. on Tuesday, June 25th, 2024, for the Centertown Community Health Center's 55th anniversary street party, providing it meets the requirements, conditions, and approval of Special Events Advisory Team.
Thank you, Councillor Troster. I'll just note on the agenda the notice of intent from the Ottawa Community Housing Corporation to hold the AGM at our council meeting on June 12th. Motion to introduce bylaws. Councillor Brockington.
Yes, Mayor, that the bylaws listed on the agenda under motion to introduce bylaws, 3 readings be read and passed, and that the following bylaw be read and passed in accordance with the motion approved at today's meeting regarding development charges. It reads as follows: a bylaw of the City of Ottawa to amend bylaw 2024-218, the development charges bylaw 2024.
Is that carried? And sorry, we have to go back because there are 2 other notices of motion that we didn't get to. Councillor Menard.
Thanks, Mayor. They're similar to the other motions, but these are notice of motion. And one is for the Glebe Neighborhood Activities Group after school block party, and the other is for the Glebe Montessori School end of year barbecue. So on the first one, I'll just read that therefore be it resolved, since it's noticed that council approve the road closure for Lion Street between 3rd Avenue to 2nd Avenue from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Wednesday, June 19th for the after-school block party, provided it meets the requirements, conditions, and approval of Special Events Advisory Team. And the second motion, therefore be it resolved that council approve the road closure for Lion Street South between Glebe Avenue and First Avenue from 11 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. on Thursday, June 20th, 2024 for the Glebe Montessori School End of Year Barbecue 2024, provided it meets the requirements, conditions, and approval of Special Events Advisory Team. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Menard. Confirmation by law, Councillor Brockington.
That the following bylaw be read and passed to confirm the proceedings of the council meeting of May 29th, 2024.
Is that carried? Any inquiries? Okay, motion to adjourn, Councillor Brockington.
That the proceedings of the city council meeting of May 29th, 2024 be adjourned.
Is that carried? Thank you, everyone. Merci beaucoup.
Amazing. And I love the fragrance of this already.
It smells really good.
Yeah.
Really, really good.
And one of the other reasons I don't necessarily measure the mixing ingredients for the apple or the flavoring ingredients for the apples is because everyone likes apples to taste different. I like mine less sweet.
Okay.
And also just my, my upbringing. We don't necessarily eat a lot of sweets, although a lot of Italian desserts seem to be. They're actually not. And so I prefer not so sweet desserts.
Okay, I'm really smelling the vanilla, and I don't know that I've ever put vanilla in it, so I love that. I'm also thinking that next time I'm doing an open house,
yes,
I should bake a pie. Imagine people coming
Absolutely. Well, actually,
smelling.
I have something better for you, and that's one of the things that we're making today.
Okay.
And the reason I say better is because if you have to be at an open house and you've got to cut a pie into pieces, well, now think of the solution I have for you. You're going to give them a nice mini size something.
Oh, a mini something.
A mini
But it's going to
something.
have the same smell.
Oh, it absolutely is.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, this smells fantastic.
Okay, so now is the moment for tasting, because you want to make sure that your apples in the filling taste as beautiful as they smell. Okay.
so silly. Yeah. I really enjoy it. I had a lot of fun. They used to have a shopping mall that was like.
Sure. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4. I note the continuing presence of several members of City Council who obviously were disappointed at how short the meeting was. That they just.
Il y a des membres du conseil qui semblent déçus que le conseil, la réunion ait été si courte. Est-ce que c'était un record pour notre mandat?
Are you good?
Good afternoon, bonjour à tous. My name is Kendra Titley and I will be your moderator. Je m'appelle Kendra Titley et je serai l'animatrice de ce point de presse. I will now invite each agency in alphabetical order to ask their questions. You may ask one question with a follow-up. Par ordre alphabétique, j'invite maintenant chaque organisme à poser une question et une question de suivi. We'll now start with, nous allons commencer par Elise Skura at CBC Ottawa.
CBC, réunion très rapide. Ma question porte sur une note de service qui a été publiée cette semaine sur le rejet par la province de taxis pour servir d'ambulance. Je voulais savoir ce que vous en pensiez. Eh bien, je vais laisser Kim aussi vous répondre s'il le veut. Premièrement, notre objectif est d'offrir le meilleur service possible, le plus vite possible quand les ambulances ne sont pas disponibles. Et je suis heureux que notre équipe ait pensé à cette solution innovatrice. Par exemple, si il y a un cas qui n'est pas un cas de crise, il y a différents modes de transport qu'on peut utiliser plutôt qu'une ambulance pour aller à l'hôpital. Et ça, c'est le genre de solution qu'il nous faut, justement. Alors, j'ai été quand même étonnée que la province n'était pas d'accord avec cette option. Et il y aurait peut-être une autre façon d'aborder la question pour arriver à notre but. On verra pour qu'on arrive à convaincre la province d'accepter la solution. Et nous pourrons quand même trouver une solution. Kim, voulez-vous ajouter quelque chose? C'est très bien dit. Je pense qu'il est important de souligner qu'on fait tout en notre pouvoir pour avoir les bonnes ressources sur place aux besoins. En cas d'urgence, il faut qu'on ait des ambulances sur les lieux le plus vite possible. Et s'il y a un arrêt cardiaque, par exemple, il faut que les ambulanciers arrivent tout de suite. Le problème, c'est qu'il y a souvent des retards. Et ça, c'est une responsabilité de la province et de l'hôpital. Alors moi, je voudrais bien que la province règle ce problème alors que l'on investit, on ajoute des paramédics et des ambulances sur la route pour répondre aux urgences. Et le système qui a été adopté dernièrement aide beaucoup au triage, mais nous avons encore du travail à faire. Et je vous offre également la possibilité de parler au chef des paramédics, si vous voulez, qui est ici aujourd'hui. Et autre sujet, je sais que ça n'a pas été abordé par un comité encore, mais vendredi, on a eu une mise à jour sur ce qui se fait avec les solutions durables au déraillement. Que pensez-vous ressortira de cette réunion? Comme toujours, c'est une bonne occasion d'avoir plus d'informations sur la situation, mais pour moi, c'est moins une question de réunion que de processus. Il nous faut vraiment
We need them to agree on the solution to fix the root cause, and we need them to bring that solution to us and for us to sign off on it so we can have the fix that we need and that we can have the fully functioning system and that Ottawa residents will have the transit system that they paid for. So Friday, I think, is going to be about sharing a lot of information. But ultimately, this process has to end with RTG and Alstom agreeing on the root cause and the solution and moving forward on implementation.
Sorry, do you think the commercial interests are getting in the way of that?
I think it's natural that anytime you have, no matter how frustrating, I'm sure it's frustrating to Ottawa residents. It's frustrating to me when we see disagreement between RTG and Alstom on what the root cause is. But I imagine that it's not unusual when there are two large players involved in building a system of this nature, and when there is when something goes wrong, that there's disagreement on the root cause, and that they will work it out over time. Our relationship is with RTG, and we're holding them accountable for delivering the system that we paid for. So it's incumbent on those two parties to work it out, agree on the root cause, agree on the solution, and move forward on implementing it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll now go to Leah Larocque at CTV Ottawa.
My question is for Monsieur Gontier. Everyone's favorite topic, garbage. I know it was passed today, but what is the key main message for residents going into this new policy? What do you really want them to know, especially what happens if in a few months down the line they have more than the 3 allowed containers on their driveway?
Thank you for the question. So first and foremost, we want them to be aware of the change that's taking place. We're providing ample time in terms of being able to communicate and educate residents on the change, what's going to be permitted, what will not be permitted. Starting September 30th, 2024 is when the change comes into play in terms of the 3 items limit. But even at that point, even after September 30th, the first month is going to be very much focused around informing residents that are not complying. That will extend basically through November and December. So very much a focus on ensuring that they understand basically the implications of these changes and that there's ample time for them to adjust. Recognizing that over 85% of the residents already comply with the new limits. So we're not expecting this to be impacting every single residence in the city. But those that are currently not complying, we're expecting them to be a bit of a change. At the end of the day, what we want to make sure is that people are reducing the amount of waste that's being produced, and from the waste that they are generating, that it's being put in a proper location. Green bin be leveraged as much as possible, recycling be leveraged as possible, so that what goes into the garbage is truly non-avoidable waste at that point. Oui, pas de problème.
Yes, of course. The emphasis for the residents is to reduce the consumption and the level of garbage, and to use the alternative resources like recycling and composting. And from now to September 30th, we will put the emphasis on education on the limit of 3 items. And even after September 30th, the approach will be phased in. We'll have ample time to educate the residents on what to put in what container and the importance of reducing their consumption too.
I guess, though, my question is, after the education part and after a few months, will garbage, the 4th item, be left on that person's curb? And is there a chance for them to maybe use the new yellow bin process?
Yes, so the yellow bag process is there for those that are not going to be able to meet the 3-item limit, so that option will be available to them. So basically, if we look forward in time after December, let's say next January, somebody leaves 4 items at the curb, we would be picking up basically 3 items, unless that 4th item is in a yellow bag, at which point we would also pick that up. But every time there's a non-compliance, we will always be informing the residents as to why it's non-compliant and what options are available to them.
Thank you. Next, we have Nathan Fung at the Globe and Mail.
Hi, my question is to the mayor. I just wondering if you could comment about the neighborhood operations center that's supposed to open near Rideau Center. I understand it's delayed. I'm just wondering if he has any comments about the center's opening soon, or if he has any more details on when it's supposed to open.
Yeah, I understand the police chief gave an update at the Police Services Board meeting on Monday and spoke to the media at that time, and I'm sure you could speak to him for the more details. I understand there's been a delay in procuring equipment and supplies for the facility. It doesn't sound like it's going to be a long delay, and so we expect that the Neighborhood Operations Center will be open in the days ahead. I'm excited to see it open. I know a lot of residents and business owners in the Byward Market are excited to see it open. They see it as an important step forward. It's not the only step we need to take to address some of the challenges in the Byward Market, but it is an important step forward to demonstrate a commitment to residents and business owners in the market that the resources will be in place to protect their safety and to police the area when necessary. And so in the meantime, of course, there are still resources in place, but I think that the opening of the Neighborhood Operations Center will be not just a practical solution, but also a symbolic turning point for the Byward Market. So I'm looking forward to seeing it open. In the meantime, though, of course, the police are fully deployed, as always, in that area.
Would you say there's any overlap between the center and the city's plans for its nightlife economy action plan, or the city's nightlife plans?
Yeah, I don't know if overlap is the word I would use, but we're excited about strengthening the nightlife economy in Ottawa, and there are a number of different initiatives that are part of that. And there'll be more to come about that once the new nightlife commissioner is in place. But there's a plan that is in place now to increase the amount of nightlife in Ottawa, to support the businesses that are already doing work in this area. I know there's talk of other potential exciting developments around the downtown and around the Byward Market. So I think there's a lot of good news to come for entertainment and attractions in the downtown and the Byward Market.
Thank you. We will go to Blair Crawford at the Ottawa Citizen.
Well, in keeping with the theme of the day, I really don't have any questions, although I would be interested in getting the latest figures on level zeros and offload times for paramedics if Chief Poirier is available. Unless you know them off the top of your hand.
I do not, but Chief Poirier is available to have those discussions with you after the fact, and we will endeavor to provide you with those numbers.
Okay, good. Thank you.
We'll follow up. Thanks, Blair. This concludes today's media availability. Ceci conclut le point de presse d'aujourd'hui. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup.